Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Well, Jerome Forde has extensive HR experience, which ranges from the former Labour Relations Commission to AIB before starting his own company, HR Duo, which now has its sights firmly set on UK expansion. Jerome joins us this morning to discuss the growth of the business and his plans for the future. But Jerome, before we discuss HR Duo and its entry into the UK market, I'd like to hear about your early career.
Karl, good morning to you. I've always described myself as having been let go from many and otherwise respectable employment, but I've worked for about 15 years with the old Department of Labour, Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment, and the Labour Courts and Labour Relations Commission. So all within that kind of area. I've worked in areas of employment law, in what used to be known as the personnel department, and in the Labour Court and what was in those days the Labour Relations Commission, before it became the Workplace Relations Commission. And I worked then in AIB. I would have had responsibilities around employee relations and the partnership relationship with the trade union, the Irish Bank Officials Association, as well as having responsibility for HR policy and best practice right across AIB Group in all of the jurisdictions that it worked with.
Where did you see that gap in the market for a company like HR Duo?
I would go back to my work in employment law with the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment, and also with the Labour Courts and Labour Relations Commission, because you were dealing continuously and persistently with small and medium-sized businesses who were dealing with complaints from staff members, who were dealing with inspections by the what are now the WRC inspection unit, and trying to come to terms with complicated employment law issues and concerns. And these traditionally have been addressed by companies that will sell you a service, give you a telephone number, and give you some documentation that you can be going on with. And I felt that with technology, there was a capability of beginning to address those concerns with small and medium-sized employers. These were people who would not have a HR expertise, would not be expert in employment law, but would be very experienced in running businesses. So by backing them up and providing this kind of technology service, and that it's all available to them on the system, as well as for companies without a HR department, a resource, an employee relations service, sometimes a HR manager service. And then we've grown to being the support in the toolbox of SME HR departments, because we provide them with, if you like, those policies and procedures, the employment expertise that they would have to source from other sources.
So from an operational perspective, does the platform work on a plug-and-play basis?
Essentially, it does. So you contact us and you want to become a client with us. And there are two parts of our initiation. The first one is that we will put together policies and procedures that are appropriate to you and appropriate to your business, and they're put up onto the system, and the system then responds to what the needs are there. Employment law, unlike a lot of other laws, requires that something should be done. So if you're putting a contract together, the question is how many temporary contracts have you given to an individual? If you're putting somebody on time, the question is, did they get a day off at the weekend? Did they get rest overnight of 11 hours? Was there change of shift done? And traditionally, that stuff resides in the head of the HR manager or the head of the line manager. But what we are saying is that that stuff can be codified into the system, and that's essentially what we try and do. And the other part of it is we will set up your company upon the system. So if you're somebody, for example, that rosters people, that needs time and attendance, check in or check out, we will have that set up for you. If you're somebody that recruits people a lot, well, then our ATS system will be able to manage that, and we'll be able to bring them on to the point where you need a contract of employment, and the system will send that out pretty much automatically if it's properly set up. So there is a plug and play element to it, but there's also a setup that is beneficial for companies to have from our system, which goes from system activation right to the point where people are set up on the system and good to go.
As a business-to-business service provider, what has worked from a marketing perspective for you?
What has been most effective for us is radio advertising. And the reason that that has been most effective for us over the years is because it personalizes the business. So people get to know me, and they get to know the type of business that we operate. And we've been fairly persistent in radio advertising over about a 3 or 4 year period. So it has built up that kind of brand recognition for us. So when our salespeople make a call, at least there's a level of familiarity there with people.
What sales strategy underpinned the business?
The sales strategy, generally we operate on the basis of phone calls to potential clients and work it through in that way. As our system is evolving, and particularly as we move into the UK, our ability to sell it online for people to be able to sign up and set themselves up is becoming more, that capability is becoming more pronounced. And it's likely by the time we get to the end of this year that we will have an element of our business which is being sold online. But primarily our source at the moment is through direct sales calls to clients, and also referrals from existing clients, which builds a nice chunk of business that comes in for us. We've just launched a partnership process with HR consultant companies, and we believe that this is going to be very strong for us, particularly as we move into different jurisdictions. So a HR consultant taking on HR Duo as part of their services will be able to manage their clients through our system in a way that other systems don't allow them to. People will be able to ticket to the HR consultant issues, and they will be able to manage their clients in the same way that we manage ours. So, and we believe that that differentiation will make the HR managers and the HR consultants supporting clients without a HR department much more capable and better at what they do. And we believe that there'll be a commercial bang for them in taking on HR Duo.
I understand that HR Duo has opened its first office in the UK, but what scale of opportunity exists for your business in the UK market, and how different are the two jurisdictions?
Well, the scale is massive. The potential opportunity within our range of clients, which are really between 0 and maybe 250, even though we have clients with a couple of thousand, but they have the characteristics of a small and medium-sized business. There could be a chain of supermarkets, for example, or a chain of food outlets. But in focusing in on that 0 to 250 market, the potential returns are about 24 times more over in the UK than they are in Ireland. The difference between Ireland and the UK is that because the prize is so much bigger, the level of competition is much more fierce. And we've been learning about that over the last couple of months and gearing up to it. We have our first 40 clients in the UK on board. Thankfully, the product is used the same way and is consumed the same way over in the UK as it is in Ireland. So our focus really is on becoming relevant in the UK.
And of course, we have witnessed significant disruption within the HR and employment landscape in recent years. But as we look to the future, how do you see it evolving?
I do think that the move to hybrid working has only begun. And a lot of companies have fallen into it as a result of COVID and are now, some of them are getting buyer's remorse, as you can see with a lot of the big companies in America. Others are looking to change the proportion of days that apply to within the hybrid working model. I think that what people are experiencing within hybrid working at the moment is the absence of accountability. And that's going to be resolved, I think, through technology. And I think it's technology that's going to provide the basis upon which hybrid working can continue and begin to thrive and give comfort to MDs of companies that not alone is the work being done and being managed, but that people who are joining the company are beginning to develop and grow with the company, which is a big lack at the moment in the current hybrid working model. I think the change of technology in the overall is something that creates an environment for the workplace that's largely unknown. So the introduction of AI and machine learning is very, very exciting. From the point of view of HR systems. They're very exciting for a company like ours that has actual stuff on their system. So when we put an AI bot onto our system, it means that people are going to learn whether they've been bullied or not, or what to do next, or if they're being made redundant, what's going to happen next by simply asking the bot. It takes away 4 or 5 steps in relation to what they would usually look for. Outside of that, as HR people, we've been involved in the 4th Industrial Revolution, and I was speaking about this during last week at Festival of Work in London. And what the 4th Industrial Revolution has done for business in general is that it has brought in that, firstly, that automation dividends that people have been talking about for over 20 to 25 years at this stage. So we are now definitively in every part of our experience in the age of automation. And that means that the jobs are going to change. Within the HR environment, an argument that I was making at Festival of Work last week was that a HR person that is not able to work through technology and do their job through technology will become obsolescent very, very quickly over the next 3 to 4 years.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Jerome Forde from HR Duo, and I'd like to wish Jerome every success with their UK expansion.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.